All right, let's go. Blockchain crypto gang. So we're going to get into this story. We got a few different stories that I want to share with you guys. We'll end with the Solana versus Cardano. What future is brighter? Who has the brighter future? What's going on in comparison with those two blockchains? A lot going on, of course. We can just go ahead and look at some of the crypto numbers real quick just so we can get an idea of what's going on in the market. The fundamentals look good. Bitcoin's at 66,000 plus. We got Ethereum at 3,200. We got the market is fundamentally looking pretty sound after the halving. So that's a good thing. We're probably going to be in store for a very lucrative bull cycle moving forward. As we know, the halving means that there is less output. The output is cut in half. So what we'll probably see at some point is all of this pressure will blow to the point to where we'll have a parabolic bull cycle. Because what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of the numbers are suppressed due to the fact that all the accumulation that we've been getting, right? So think about it. Before the halving, only 900 Bitcoin were created per day. When we know that we've been hearing news of people buying tons of Bitcoin, lapping the amount of output, meaning that some companies alone were buying thousands. They were buying 10 times the number of Bitcoin being created. You would think that the market would respond and that Bitcoin would be over 100,000 right now. One of the reasons why that's not the case is because when these large institutions buy Bitcoin, they usually buy it over the counter. So they're buying it from Coinbase, they're buying it from miners directly, and or they're buying it in ways that doesn't disturb the market. So they'll buy it in thousands of micro transactions. So they may buy a couple thousand worth of Bitcoin, but they're doing it in tens of thousands of small transactions so it doesn't disturb the market. Kind of like a courtesy to other institutions so that they don't spike the price too much. However, when they dump it all at once, which crashes the price until other people, pick it up. So what I think will happen is now that the output is cut in half, that pressure will continue to mount until it cannot be suppressed any longer. And this is when we'll get to numbers like 150,000, et cetera, that a lot of people are calling for. Because not only because the institutions are still picking it up, the demand has not went down since the halving. The demand is still up. And we will see an influx of retail investors, even if those investors are going to the ETFs, and some of them will be getting raw Bitcoin. So we will see these numbers go up. But the numbers right now still look fundamentally sound. But before we get to the main story, I want to cover something that's been in the news. This is a pretty heavy topic. This is a very popular topic in crypto right now, and that is Sam Bankman-Fried, of course, FTX. So just as a recap, FTX went insolvent. Sam Bankman-Fried has been charged with different crimes in regards to, honestly, and I don't want to sound like I'm sticking up for Sam Bankman-Fried, but if we're going to be honest, he didn't do anything more than what banks do. In fact, his actions were less criminal than how banks operate on the daily, and definitely no more criminal than any other centralized exchange. So in essence, what he did is he took some of the depositors' money, reinvested it in other things, and also took some for his own personal profit, because like banks, like any other exchange, he didn't expect 90% of the money to start being drained by customers, which was all pretty much sparked by Binance CEO CZ, who's also at this time in jail. But anyway, as a result, Sam Bankman-Fried snitches on crypto influencers. Now, this is wild. This is pretty wild. Investors and customers have settled their civil suit against FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried. Let's just get down to the nitty gritty. And I'm going to make a case that, is he really the devil of crypto? Because he is the scapegoat at this point. What I mean is, because of his acts, because of his political affiliations, right? Everyone knows that he gave money to Democrats, he gave money to Republicans. So because of his affiliations politically, it's almost like he had to get thrown under the bus. That way, the politicians that he was doing business with won't be implicated in, back in this crypto endeavor that they were backing. And because a lot of his victims were rich, wealthy people, you know, he had to catch that fade. If all of his victims were only retailers, he probably would not be facing jail time. He probably would not have ever got convicted. FTX going bankrupt is no different than all the banks that we have seen collapse last year alone. We've seen 3 of the most major banks collapse and go bankrupt. The difference is the CEOs of those banks didn't get charged with crimes. In fact, they got kickbacks. So that just has to do with the shadiness and the contrast between how they're treating crypto exchanges versus banks. But let's get to the story real quick. And then I'm going to make my case. And I'm just going to show you. I'm not making a case to defend Sam Bankman-Fried in by any means. But I'm going to show you, because I get these kind of stories every day about banks and different things that banks are doing and these fines that they're paying and these illegal activities that they're involved in all the time. But we don't really take that for what it really is. But they'll point the finger and scapegoat crypto. But anyway, Sam Bankman-Fried agreed to cooperate with his creditors by providing non-privileged documents and information concerning other defendants. In return, the creditors will drop their civil action against the embattled founder and focus on other implicated parties in the exchange's failure. Sam Bankman-Fried called out crypto influencers. The creditors intend to leverage the shared information in their class action suit. So Bankman-Fried will provide information on the exchange celebrity promoters, including Shaq, Big Shaq O'Neal, Tom Brady, Katy Perry, and Naomi Osaka. He will also give insights into FTX interactions with other entities, such as the legal firm Sullivan and Cromwell, venture capital firm Sino, K5 Global, Multicoin, Deltec Bank, and account firm Prager. Creditors seek additional details on FTX's engagement with the Golden State Warriors, Formula One Racing, the Major League Baseball. Moreover, they want information on firms such as Mercedes-Benz Group, Racing Team, Creators Agency, and Lincoln Holdings. So in a nutshell, he is giving up information in regards to people who he's done business with. I don't really know what the purpose of this is. I mean, like, is he going to imply that he purposely defrauded people and these were his co-conspirators? I think that would be anti-productive. That'd be counterproductive to his stance that he didn't purposely mislead or do any devious acts. That his intent was not malicious. So I don't really know how implicating other people is really going to help. I really doubt that Tom Brady or Shaquille O'Neal or any of the other celebrity endorsers or any of the other companies that he was affiliated with, I really doubt that they are going to take the position that they knew what he was doing was fraudulent and that they, you know, were complicit with the fraudulent acts. I just think this 25 years in prison really got him shook because he is not built for that life, clearly. So, of course, he's trying to, help himself to a lighter sentence, if possible, by showing that he's willing to cooperate. So let me get down to what I wanted to show you guys. Some of the other aspects of why I think this is unfair. And I only say that because if you're not going to have the same energy for these banks, if you're not going to keep the same energy for these traditional financial institutions that really do more damage and have done more damage to the global economy than FTX ever could. Now, I liked FTX as an exchange. I thought it was an easy, user-friendly exchange. They gave you 8%. We've seen the commercials for the Super Bowl. It was something that was really starting to grow in popularity. Of course, the funds were mismanaged. That's exactly why it went insolvent. But that's not any different than any other bank. And I'm just going to show you something real quick. First, let me show you this, because I want to just show you guys just the truth behind how these bankers have always responded to Bitcoin in the crypto market, because it's a conflict of interest. Like understand that what we have going on in the United States of America is we have a wealth transfer going on that the banks feel like they're left out of. The reason why a lot of these SECs and CFTCs and whatnot are going against and suing crypto companies, especially those that offer staking, that offer different DeFi opportunities, is because banks only give you a very small percentage, usually less than 1% APR, which does not keep up with inflation. So if people understood in mass numbers, this is why, they ignored crypto for so long, then they mocked it. And then they decided, hey, after fighting it, they need to join it. And they started creating their own products and services. Because if the masses understood that they could use DeFi protocols to get the type of percentages that banks make off of your money, not what banks give you for your money, but banks make off your money. Because what do banks do? They loan your money out for percentages. They reinvest your money into different endeavors. This is what FTX did. And then if people do a bank run and they want all their money, they don't have it because we deal with the reserve fractional banking system, which means that the banks only really have to have 10% of your money. So if more than 10% of people call their money back, the bank collapse, similar to what happened, or exactly what happened at FTX. The difference is when banks collapse, they don't get charged with crimes. They don't get indicted. They don't get charged with criminal intent. But it's really no different. So because we deal with a reserve fractional banking system, the banks make money off of your money while giving you less money, less of a percentage that then is needed in order to hedge against inflation. This is why prices go up more than your dollar goes up. And this is why they scapegoat and try to make Bitcoin criminal for so long. This is why before these ETFs, all you would see is FUD on Bitcoin, because these same entities, these same financial institutions felt threatened by Bitcoin. Now, let me show you something just to make my case a little bit. Let me show you something. This is Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan.
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto, Bitcoin, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case, etc. You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not.
So what he said is that the true use case for crypto is tax evasion, money laundering, drug trafficking. This is what Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Chase said in front of the US Senate. He said, and this was very rich of him, he said that Bitcoin is only good for drug trafficking, money laundering, tax evasion. Now let me just show you some recent news out of the banking industry. But first, let me just show you the same person who has the audacity to say that Bitcoin is just for criminals. Yeah, let's not forget about this. Let's not forget that the same one who's saying that Bitcoin is for criminals had a ship seized off the coast of Philadelphia, in a port in Philadelphia, with 1.5 billion worth of cocaine. This dude was moving. Not like, and don't think that, oh, he didn't know. Like, they don't know what kind of cargo is on their ships. You just snuck. You just snuck 1.3 billion worth of cocaine on a ship that you own. You didn't know about it. But we're supposed to forget about that, right? Oh, yeah, Bitcoin's for criminals. Meanwhile, right? So this is cool right here, right? He's moving Tony Montana numbers of cocaine, but Bitcoin is for criminals. It makes me think like maybe that's what he really means. Maybe he means like, hey, you guys should leave Bitcoin alone and leave it to us criminals, because of course he has Bitcoin and other crypto endeavors and blockchain endeavors as of now. But he wants us to forget. He wants us to look at Bitcoin as being for criminals. Meanwhile, this type of activity is going on. So of course they're not commenting. No comment. Don't worry about it. I'm just saying. So when these guys are telling you how criminal activities are happening in the crypto market, but yet they have a boatload, literally a boatload of yayo. And do you think that this is the only ship owned by this bank that has been moving? Listen, the streets got to eat. I'm not necessarily mad at it. I'm just saying the hypocrisy of it all, and it just goes under the radar, because I know a lot of people probably forgot about this. This was about 4 or 5 years ago, but this type of stuff happens all the time. Look, let me show you some other news with the traditional financial market that we call banks. Look at this right here. And these stories pop up on my feed every single day. Every day there's a story about a different bank that had to pay some kind of fine for fraudulent activities, or that has compromised user information, et cetera, et cetera. I can do stories on this every single day. I just selected a few stories just to show you the contrast behind how they deal with cryptocurrency and how they deal with the traditional financial market, and which one is really more complicit with fraudulent and criminal activities. Are they scapegoating Sam Bankman-Fried and by default, by proxy, the rest of the crypto industry? I would say yes. Not to say what Sam Bankman-Fried done was correct or right. I'm not making that case. All I'm saying is, if we're going to judge these activities, well, let's just be fair about it. Look at this. HSBC failed to protect $142 billion in deposits, receives a bumper fine. So this is from earlier this year. So they failed to protect $142 billion in profits, and look at what their bumper fine was. They have been fined 57 million pounds. I don't know exactly what the conversion rate of pounds to dollars is, but I do know it's probably not more than 60 million. Let's give it 70 million. Let's just say that. Let's say the pound is so much more than a dollar. Let's say it's worth 70 million. But what they failed to protect was 142 billion. 142 billion, not million. So if they're only being fined a very minute percentage for the fraudulent actions or the misdeeds that they're doing, there's no incentive for them to do business on the square. And if they are doing business in a manner that they can get away with hundreds of billions of fraudulent activities and only get fined less than 1%, less than 1/100%, that means they still won. You're not hearing CEOs of HSBC being indicted for these type of activities. These things happen all the time. Check this out. Here's another one. LA's Bank to the Stars fined $65 million for lapse in its risk controls. So City National Bank was fined $65 million on Wednesday by federal regulators for failing to maintain proper risk management and internal controls, including those related to what? Money laundering. This is one of the things Sam Bankman-Fried was charged with. It's one of the things that CZ Peng was charged with, money laundering. So banks in the U.S. constantly being implicated with money laundering, data breaches, different other fraudulent activities that make them have to pay large fines. So if they're paying a $65 million fine like it's nothing, that means what they did actually netted them a lot more than this. This is just the cost of doing business to these banks. That's my point. This is how banks in the U.S. operate. I'm not making a case to try to say that Sam Bankman-Fried is innocent. What I'm saying is, if we're going to judge it by the same standards, then these banks also are criminals, or even more so criminals than any crypto exchange that has went down in the past couple years. That's what I'm saying. It's just that the accountability is different because, of course, banks have been a longstanding, fixture in traditional finance, and they have lobbyists and they have politicians in their pocket. So they don't really have to pay a consequence for the deeds that they do. One more. Wells Fargo fires employees after data breach exposes customer information. Now, listen, I used to bank with Watermark Credit Union back in the day. And it seems like every other month we were getting an email saying that, information may have been compromised. There's been data breach. This happens all the time in banking, right? So the incident confirmed by California-based banking giant was not a cyber attack, but rather a violation of company policies. The employee involved sent sensitive information to a personal account, leading to their termination. So, this is a policy violation. It said Wells Fargo has disclosed a data breach caused by the actions of one of its employees, resulting in exposure of personal and mortgage account information for two of its customers. The incident, confirmed by the California-based banking giant, was not a cyber attack, but rather a violation of company policies. Wells Fargo is taking. Okay, so these kind of things happen. This is a systemic problem in the banking industry. All right, so we have banks collapsing for doing the exact same thing FTX did. The difference is they don't get charged with crimes. You have them exposing data, making data available. You have them implicated in money laundering policies. You have them getting fined for different fraudulent activities, but the fines really are nothing in comparison to how much money they made while doing these fraudulent activities. The difference is you don't see them going to jail or being charged with crime. That's just, what it really is. If you're really paying attention, there is a reason why there is a witch hunt on all things crypto. And this is the reason why I said you don't see cryptocurrency or blockchain information on the mainstream yet. That's what my Twitter handle has said since 2019, because I understood that until these banks have their own products and services, they're going to see crypto as a conflict of interest. So it's not going to be on the mainstream because the mainstream media is funded by corporations and banks. Once they get their own products and services, which you're seeing now with these Bitcoin ETFs, then you'll see it on the mainstream as you've been seeing it more. We've seen Coinbase advertisements and commercials in the NBA playoffs. We have seen ETF commercials and ads on social media and on TV or whatnot, because now that they have products and services, now that the traditional financial market has products and services, it's now starting to be seen as a viable option, because now the traditional financial markets and institutions can get paid off of given exposure of crypto to their clients. So now you won't see as much FUD in regards to Bitcoin. Now you see the commercialization and the adoption rate go up, but it's being funneled to these centralized market makers rather than people just buying raw Bitcoin. This is why they're buying up all of the Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is becoming more scarce. That's what the halving's about. Less Bitcoin is being produced, but it's still being bought at the same rate or higher rates. The idea is if you can't beat them, buy them. So buy up all the crypto and then offer derivatives to retail investors. That's basically what's going on. This is why it's very important to understand the advantage of being able to deal with decentralized protocols and hold your own keys. Everything that they're offering, all these different services that they're offering and will offer, already exists. The difference is you could do it yourself anonymously and have full control and reap the total benefits. The way banks get paid, you can do yourself. So banks get paid by lending your money out for percentages. Well, in DeFi protocols, you can do that on your own. You can borrow against your own collateral with no intermediary. You can stake coins at a rate higher than what your bank is going to pay you to hold it in savings account. This is why billionaires like Michael Saylor say that only poor people use fiat currency as a store of value. In other words, billionaires don't just keep all their money in the bank to get a 0.5%, knowing that inflation is at 5 to 8%. So if you have $1 billion, you're not going to want to lose 50 million in spending power every year when you can hold assets instead and make passive income and make your money work for you. This is what wealthy people do. This is the leverage that cryptocurrency and technology enables retailers or the normal working class to do. Now we can scale our money to make money the same way wealthy people and institutions make money. This is why cryptocurrency has been attacked by traditional financial markets for so long, by the same bankers who are participating in fraudulent activities that are telling us that Bitcoin is only for criminals. Yet ships that are owned by JP Morgan are getting busted with 1.3 billion of cocaine. But if they control the narrative, they control what people think. Now let's go ahead and end it with this real quick. I don't have that much time. Cardano versus Solana. So you know that I've admitted here, I've said full disclosure that I am heavily invested in Cardano and in Solana. I fell back from Solana because of some of the network failures, and I just don't like the idea that a network can just go down and be offline for so long, because it costed me money trying to make transactions that couldn't go through, and then by the time they did, I've already lost 60% on some coins, 40%, 50%, 30%. I don't like that. Although I still do have some staking going on Solana. I still have liquidity providing going on. Minimum meme coins. I pretty much got out of a lot of the meme coins. Cardano also has been very good to me in terms of some of their meme coins. But let's go ahead and get into Solana, or Cardano versus Solana. Which blockchain has a brighter future according to Daily Coin? Of course, you can take all this with a grain of salt. So Cardano versus Solana is arguably the fiercest battle between alternative layer 1 blockchain and cryptocurrency industry. Each network brings plenty to the table and has the potential to dethrone Kingpin Ethereum at the top of the smart contract hierarchy. I don't agree with that. I don't see Ethereum being dethroned by neither one of these. The best case scenario for Cardano or Solana, in my opinion, from what I see, is that they'll do what they have been doing, which is taking some of the market cap that could be going to Ethereum. In other words, if Solana or Cardano didn't exist, there would probably be 100 billion plus in the Ethereum market cap. A lot of these alternatives to Ethereum are taking some of the market cap that could be going to Ethereum, because people are taking different alternatives, different options, because Ethereum is slow. Ethereum is expensive at times. So Solana being so fast, being so cheap, it was attractive to a lot of people. This is why so many meme coins popped up. Easy to trade between these coins, very fast, very cheap. But if the network is going to be going down unexpectedly, that takes some of the thrill away from Solana. Cardano, on the other hand, is faster than Ethereum, not as fast as Solana. A lot cheaper than Ethereum, not quite as cheap as Solana, but very secure. Anyway, so while Cardano sticks to Pyrrhus' systematic approach and envisions a utopian blockchain ecosystem, Solana will sacrifice these ideologies in exchange for more razzle-dazzle. Cardano versus Solana, quick facts. Those are the founders. Both of those also were involved in Ethereum before they branched out. Cardano launched in 2017, Solana 2020. Market cap about 20 billion for Solana, about 80 billion for, or excuse me, 20 billion for Cardano, about 80 billion for Solana. Circulating supply 35 billion Cardano ADAs, and 444 million Sol, all-time high, $3 for Cardano, 262 for Solana. A lot of that has to do with the circulating supply. Let's continue. So what is Cardano? Founded by Charles Hoskinson, Cardano is a proof-of-stake blockchain network designed from the ground up from peer-reviewed academic theory. Thanks to Ouroboros consensus mechanism, Cardano is energy efficient, decentralized, and highly secure. So this is, to me, why Cardano probably has a pretty good future in this bull run, in this bull cycle we're in. Like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, they focused on security and decentralization over everything. I think long term, this will serve Cardano well, because when you think about institutional adoption, when you think of use cases enterprise wise, a lot of people will sacrifice speed and how cheap it is to move for security. If you're a bank and you're using DeFi protocols on a blockchain, or you're transferring, cross-border payments or cross-border transactions that you're indulging in, or even using it as a supply chain solution, you'll spend a little bit more money per transaction. You'll take a little bit more per transactions rather than having to suffer through a chain freeze or network congestion or network failure. That's just how I see it. Some people will not want to gamble on something fast, cheap, and new, especially when it has a record of being, down, network being down. So the Cardano network is considered the purest blockchain and ticks all the boxes of a perfect protocol. Since its genesis block, Cardano has maintained perfect network uptime and boasts some of the best decentralization scores in the industry. I think when people are really looking to get into this on a enterprise level, on an institutional level, those are going to be big selling points. This is why Ethereum has the most total value locked. This is why people go with Ethereum over both of these blockchains. They have a long record of being stable and reliable, even if it's more expensive. This is why Bitcoin is where it's at, because Bitcoin has had perfect uptime, has been reliable, it's been stable, it's been built on decentralization and security first. Hosting various dApps, products, and services, the Cardano economy is slowly but surely growing. The network has proven stable and reliable, making it a popular choice for businesses leveraging blockchain technology to create inventive new use cases. What is Sol? Anatoly Yakovenko envisioned the Solana blockchain with scalability and functionality in mind, blending both proof of history and proof of stake. Solana is perhaps the most performant blockchain in the cryptocurrency industry. Transaction speeds on Solana are some of the best in the space. The network is capable of handling transaction throughput that legacy networks like Bitcoin and Ethereum can only dream of. That is true. They are fast when it's working. And that's the caveat. Like if you could have something that's lightning fast and lightning cheap, but it only works. So, but it's not reliable. Some people won't sacrifice that. Yes, if you're making meme coins and you're trying to do these pump and dumps, sure. Yes, if you're doing NFTs and maybe NFT transactions, aren't time sensitive like that, sure. But when you're dealing with business and enterprise use cases, you don't want to take the chance of transactions not going through. I'm not saying that Solana can't fix their problems. I'm saying that, this is part of their reputation of blockchain outages. Solana's ecosystem is burgeoning with on-chain activity surging to staggering levels. The network boasts a thriving decentralized finance scene with on-chain trading volumes threatening Ethereum's reign. That's not the case. It won't be the case. Key differences. At first glance, Solana and Cardano are quite similar. They both layer one blockchains that support smart contract development and employ consensus algorithms dedicated to sustainability and energy efficiency. That's good. Both networks offer various apps and services like DeFi and NFT protocols, but that's where the similarities end. What are the defining characteristics that separate the two networks? One, scalability. One of Solana's biggest criticisms, stability. One of Solana's biggest criticisms is its instability. While it's great news that the chain has so many eager users, the burden of success is often hard to bear. On numerous occasions, Solana has suffered unexpected network outages that caused the blockchain to freeze. While the network has always been restored relatively quickly, instability is a massive concern for the crypto faithful, and I would also say for institutional use cases. You don't want to have billions. You can't have an $80 billion network that isn't stable. I think that's going to hurt the upside of Solana. If Solana has never had any network outages, it probably would be rivaling Ethereum right now. Ethereum's about 400 billion market cap. Solana would probably be about 3 times where it's at right now. It'd probably be 250 to 300 billion if it didn't have the network outages that it has. But meanwhile, Cardano's meticulous research-driven approach to blockchain architecture has meant that the network has maintained perfect, unbroken uptime since its launch. So they don't have the razzle dazzle. They might not have as an engaged and exciting user base, but for those who are serious about efficiency and stability, Cardano looks like it is winning in that particular realm of activity. This has become a source of great pride amongst Cardano fans who consider the network stability and security one of its strongest features. So kind of like Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin took a while before it really got up and started doing a lot of things like NFTs, which they call ordinals, or DeFi, which they could do on the second layer, which is stacks as a second layer protocol. Lightning Network also being a second layer of Bitcoin now makes Bitcoin faster. It took a minute. It's not 100% scalable for the whole Bitcoin network. But these are secondary things because they really focused on decentralization, reliability, and security first. That means that it has a strong foundation for the future. There's a reason why Bitcoin ETFs exist. There's a reason why people choose Bitcoin over the rest. There's a reason why there's $1.3 trillion in Bitcoin. It's because they took their time to do it right. They didn't rush through it. Decentralization, we'll end it here. Decentralization is one of the founding principles of a blockchain world. A blockchain network's whole point is that the governance and infrastructure are well distributed and free from singular points of failure. In this respect, Cardano is one of the market leaders with over 3,000 separate validators and one of the highest Nakamoto coefficient scores in the industry. The Cardano network is as decentralized as it comes. When Solana originally launched, blockchain purists were scathing of the low number of validators on the network and its questionable distribution of SOL tokens to angel investors. What does that mean? In a nutshell, what that means is that the ownership of the SOL token is top heavy, meaning that a few own a large portion of the tokens, which is why you've seen it drop so much when FTX went down, because FTX was a large holder of SOL. That becomes a problem. Solana was considered a centralized VC chain designed purely for early investors to dump their tokens on a revenue crypto market. So what happens is, in a proof of stake, when you have a top heavy ownership of the coin, now they can change the protocol and the governance of the blockchain. Not only that, they can crash the market with liquidations. So, there's that. Anyway, I'm going to end it right there, you guys. We can get into the rest of the story here on Daily Coin if you want, but I just wanted to kind of show you what was going on in the crypto world and just show you some of the contrast between how crypto is treated versus how the traditional financial and banking industry is treated. I'm not here to cape for Sam Bankman-Fried. I'm just showing you like this, the difference between how crypto exchanges and crypto is treated compared to what we have seen over the years, which is a lot of corruption in the banks. All banks are corrupt. They all operate the same. They all get away with the same kind of thing. They just don't get charged the same way. Anyway, y'all, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe. You can join Blockchain Crypto Gang on Facebook. You can follow on Twitter at CryptTalkP. You can hit me up at CryptTalkPodcast@gmail.com. Peace.